at the end of the day, what keeps people from going from A to B? Tim, what keeps people from going from A to B? Really a lack of courage. It's really, I say, 5 things that keeps us from going from A to B. Knowledge. You don't know how to get from A to B. If you did, you would have already gotten there. Good news is we can go get the knowledge, right? Now you probably got to pay for it. You probably got to get in a room with somebody. You probably got to get access to people who know that if you don't know. So good thing is we can go get knowledge. Second thing that keeps people from getting there is skill. You're just not skilled enough, right? And I believe there's a direct correlation in the amount of money you make and how skilled you are. Unless you're very skilled but a poor marketer. Okay? Because I know people that are good marketers and bad at skill, but they still make money. Right? What if you were skilled and you knew how to market? See? Number 3, pray drive. You just don't have the drive it takes to go from A to B. And you're not willing to sacrifice what it takes to go from A to B. Because there's a cost that comes along with going from A to B. 4, confidence. You don't have the confidence you need to go from A to B. And I could use another word, courage. Courage to invest the money, courage to do right, just courage to be bold, courage to attract negative, because you will attract some negative when you're bold. And you just don't have the courage to do it. And finally, 5th, and probably as big as anything, you don't have the relationships you need to go from A to B. Okay? See, Nicole, part of you working with 2MM is you need to be leaning on them to connect you to people. Because they connected me to people as part of that relationship. Right? Yeah. I went to New York and did Good Day New York. It's 1 million people watch that show in New York City. Part of relationships is connecting you to people who can help you. Right? And that's really what keeps people from going from A to B, is you just don't know who you need to know. Okay, that's why this who concept is such a good concept that Sullivan came up with. Is, man, one who could be worth $1 million to you, could be worth $10 million to you. Could be the one thing that keeps you, could one thing that catapults your life if you just knew the right person. You know, my buddy Tim Story, back when Robert Downey Jr. was going through drug problems, he turned to Tim Story, and Tim Story was his coach. And kind of Hollywood had written Robert Downey Jr. off, and Tim Story coached him during that period, and then he came out and said, man, really who helped me do this was Tim Story. And they got kind of labeled as the comeback coach, right? And then everybody in Hollywood who had a problem or issue or addiction started going to Tim Story. And then, bless you, and then he went on Oprah Winfrey, Super Soul Sunday, and that helped him grow his brand, right? Because Oprah, could definitely help you build your brand. Now, the reason we end with this exercise is because I didn't really study Og Mandino's work until I began being coached by the person that owns all the rights to Og Mandino's work. When Og Mandino died, his wife gave the rights to one guy named Dave Blanchard. And Dave Blanchard has been one of my coaches over the last 6 months on connection, equanimity, which is peace, fantasizing and catastrophizing, which is what a lot of successful people do. They spend a lot of time in fantasy, and they spend a lot of time in anxiety because the fantasy doesn't meet, right? They fantasize on the weekends, and then they move into catastrophizing on Monday when it don't work out the way they thought it would. So they go to negative town real quick. So Dave has been coaching me on that over the last 6 months. And Og Mandino used to say in his book, Greatest Salesman in the World, all of the knowledge you have is useless unless followed by one thing, action. Doesn't matter how much you know, matters how much you take and do something with. So what I do is I've done this exercise. I was looking on my Remarkable. If I do it today, I've done it 153 times. I've done this exercise 153 times, probably in the last 90 days. Why would I do it that many times? I know something today I didn't know yesterday. Right? My mind is bigger today than it was yesterday. I made a key connection with someone yesterday that I didn't have the day before. So I do this exercise over and over and over and over and over. And guess what I find out? Every day I move a little bit closer to my ideal scene. Right? And when I get there, okay, it's just a mental construct anyway. There'll be a new ideal stream, right? It's the first thing I figured out when I bought that jet. Very first trip on my own jet, pulled out on the runway, saw a bigger jet. I was like, well, dang, I'd like to have that one, right? You can't even enjoy the one you got because you're looking at another one. But you know what I told somebody? I never even thought about getting a bigger one until I had my own. And I was on the runway on mine looking at that one. Didn't even enter my mind to even think about wanting a bigger one. See that? So for you, I hope the last 2 days has been enlightening for you. I really do believe you are people of interest. I believe everybody that has a desire. When I wrote the book, if you read the back of the book, it says, I believe every person has a desire to become known. I believe it's something in us. Like when you were born, it's a desire to be noticed. It's a desire to be recognized. It's a desire to matter. It's a desire to contribute. It's a desire to know you helped another person in their life, right? And it is cool to know that you're helping thousands of people around the world that watch your videos or send us notes or quotes or whatever they send, right? Okay? Just to say, hey, man, I'm watching you and you helped me get through this. Okay? That is the power of being a person of interest. So I think you can use your fame and power and influence for good. For good. And if you want to make a bunch of money along the way, do that too, right? But the more good you do and the more people you help, the more money's going to go to your bank account. That's my personal belief. Okay? So I hope that when it's all said and done, the reason you want to become a person of interest is not just because you have a desire to be famous. It's because you have a desire to be effective. See, I saw an interview with T.D. Jakes once, and he talked about becoming famous. He preached in a church for 10 years with 100 people in it. Nobody knew him. Totally obscure. Cooked the food, preached the sermons, cleaned the carpets. Then he left there and went to Dallas, Texas, and started the Potter's House. And they asked him what was it like becoming famous. And he said, I never set out to be famous. I set out to be effective. And the more effective I became, connecting to people, the more famous I became. Right? Pretty good comment, isn't it? So my hope is you came in for 2 days, you spent some time with us, you enjoyed the hospitality of Tennessee. You go tell your friends that they should come, because I'm working deals right now. It's like, man, I really want to do this, but I'm scared to death. Y'all ever said that before? I'm scared to invest the money. And I'm like, I promise you, you come spend 2 days with me, and this will be a good thing for you, right? So from my heart to yours, thank you for coming. There's no other place in the world I'd rather be the last 2 days than spending with you guys, outside of my 2 little kids, right? And I got a third one on the way if y'all haven't noticed. That'll be here in like 3 weeks, so thank you very much. I figured out I'm good at one thing, making babies, okay? So I do have some talents. Now, so we want to feed you some lunch if you're capable of staying. If there's something else you want to do with us, please just let us know. Just say, hey, I'm trying to do this. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Tiffany, what is it? What are you trying to do? Stephen, what are you trying to do? And what's stopping you from doing it? What are you trying to do? And I guarantee you there's probably a way we can help you in some way. Couples retreats, kids schools, coaching programs, boot camps. There's a way we can serve you. What Will is doing, I think that's a huge new component for us to offer you that we haven't offered in the past. So that's going to be a great partnership for us as well. So we're just here to help you, man. I just asked a simple question. What are you trying to do? And let me figure out a way to help you. Okay? So thank you guys for coming. God bless you. Thanks for the people online too.